everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notify button so you know when you're getting new episodes. And we just want to grow this project. I thank you in advance. Without further ado, let's get it rolling. The Shout Out Show. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, everybody. Peace and blessings. This is me, your host, Preacher Moss, host of the S.O.S, the Shout Out Show. I hope everybody's having a tremendous Tuesday. You know, the further you get away from Monday, you get Tuesday, then you get close to Friday and get to do it. If you're lucky, you get to do it all over again. I hope you're having a fabulous Tuesday, brothers and sisters. If not, there's still enough time in the day. Hopefully that it can get better for you. Shout Out Show rules. If it's your first time coming, click the link. Not only click the link, click the subscribe button, click the whatever it is, the like button, and please, please, please enjoy yourself. You are part of the official Shout Out Show family. That's the one thing. Now, for the regular people, I want to say the Shout Out Show regulars, people like Sultana, people like Sister Reed, people like Sister Rabina, people like Miss Eleanor, folks like that come to the show. I appreciate you coming to the show, and I appreciate you and making me feel comfortable on the microphone, as a matter of fact. Now, for anyone else who's in between, I want you to know, this platform is your platform. If you have anything to get off your chest, feel free to get it off your chest and put it in the comments section. We'll address it as best we can on this show. Like I said, this platform is not my platform, it is your platform. Sister Rhea, I hope you're feeling better. And we have Sister Sultana up in the house. Yes, Sister Sultana, who is the consultant producer, who always makes sure I'm on time. We got a new one here, Brother Derek Chase. Brother Chase, welcome to the show. Hopefully you're having a great day. My name is Preacher Moss. Welcome to the S.O.S family, the S.O.S soldiers. Gladly, we welcome you. So our topic today, brothers and sisters, you may have seen it, you may not have seen it. I call it tonight, it's the presidential debate between Joe Biden and President Donald Trump. I have officially labeled this as searching for signs of intelligence. When I say searching for signs of intelligence, I'm letting you know my dismay of both candidates. And I don't like having to be in an election where basically we're going to choose the lesser two evils. I don't like evil. You hear what I'm saying? Evil is usually what? Evil. So in this point in time, I'm looking for some things. I'm looking for an excuse, not an excuse, but an explanation of what happened to the justice system. I want to know why we have a Breonna Taylor. I want to know why we have a George Floyd. I want to know why these things are still happening in 2020. And when I say that, it's not just happening in 2020. It was happening during the time of Joe Biden, when he was vice president, when he was a senator. And Donald Trump, he gets a pass here, brothers and sisters, because he's classically known for shouting out. Basically, he wanted the Central Park 5 to be murdered. And hopefully we're going to have Brother Yusuf Salam come on here and talk about that. He's one of the Central Park 5, and he's going to talk about that sentiment. I don't know, it won't be this week, but possibly next week. Because I think we need to get some barometers going on, brothers and sisters. And I hold us accountable. When I say I hold us accountable, this is what I mean. It's like a child. A child is only going to let you do what you let them do. And we know we set parameters for our children. We let them know this doesn't work, that doesn't work. And when at some point in time you break those parameters, or you break the rules, or worse and foremost, you disrespect the rule, then there are consequences that must be dealt. Now, far be it from us to make Joe Biden or Donald Trump give us his belt or go out in the backyard and get a switch. Not bad ideas. However, they must be held accountable in this process we call the United States elections. Now listen, There are a lot of reasons to vote in this election. I'm not going to give you all the reasons. That would be a top 7, top 10 show. One of them is, though, we must change the narrative. Not the narrative of what's going on in America. It's the narrative of what can be done to us as Americans. I'm talking about poor. I'm talking about women. I'm talking about Latinos. I'm talking about blacks. I'm talking about Muslim. I'm talking about the part of America that makes the engine go that does not get the credit, that doesn't get the respect. And here we are in 2020 in a situation scenario none of us thought we would be in. If you told me a man could lie to your face with lethal, hear what I'm saying, lethal ramifications and still run for president, I would tell you, you are crazy. That you are sniffing something, that you are smoking something, that you are potentially injecting something. But at this point in time, that's exactly what we have. And the thing is now, it's not that he's injecting something or smoking something. It has now become a culture. Thus, this vote is about changing the narrative. The narrative of what, not only what Donald Trump believes, and even Joe Biden believes, it's the people who will follow them over a cliff. Now, if I told you guys I was somehow enamored with political process, that'd be a lie. Let me give a shout out. This is my main man, Bats. Bats, I loved your video on completeness. I love that. I have that problem too. And my man, Altaf Rashid, all the way from Toronto. Congrats to your Blue Jays, man. They got in the playoffs. Hopefully the Yankees don't smash me too bad. Forget about my national. I'm closer to the playoffs than they are. But I digress. The process now has been what I call searching for signs of intelligence, not from the candidates, not from the pundits, but from the people who inform the candidates of what they want in terms of government and service. We've gotten away from government and service. What we want, you can't put justice in government and service. That is an anomaly, if you will. That is something you put on the front side of it as a measure to make sure that you get it on the other side. Far be it from me to talk about funnels and all that type of stuff, but it is something to be said about orientating what the vote is supposed to do for you. Let me say it again. Orientating what the vote is supposed to do for you. I'm 53 years old. I voted pretty much every election, I think except one. I voted pretty much every election. And I'm not here to say that I'm a political, go-to guy, anything like that. Here's what I am, though. I am a person who could look beyond, many of you, I can look beyond my own personal grudges and gripes, understand that my vote affects my neighbor. My vote affects the children that go down the street from me. My vote affects how policy and curriculum is established at public school. My vote affects how inmates come out of prison and integrate themselves into society. All those things count. I just got off a project talking about down ballot voting. Down ballot voting, usually people think is voting the ticket, you vote Democrat, you vote on. No, it's not that anymore. You have to know about your candidates. You have to know what their platforms are. You have to know what their arguments are. And this is not a hustle, brothers and sisters. This should not be an inconvenience. This should be intelligence being acted upon, letting folks know that I know your policy. Being able to talk to a judge and go, hey, about that decision, how do you feel about this type of thing about property law? How do you feel about this part about mandatory sentencing? Now, why am I saying these things? I'm going to tell you why. Because many of us have been left out of the process. Many of us have been left out of the process. When I say left out of the process, it's not even the voting process. It's the information process. See, there's two levels to any election. One is voting, and one is voting the information that you know. I'm imploring everybody to get into the second category of voting the information you know. Why is that important? I'll tell you why it's important. It's several reasons, but I'm going to give you the top two. Number one, there's a pressure. There's a systemic ideology right now that if I can get people misinformed about the vote, I can get them disenfranchised by the vote, and I can get them not to vote. disinformed, disenfranchised, and then not voting at all. If you want to understand the pressure it is to be a black person voting, I can tell you it's nothing close to what my mother went through, or my aunt, or my uncle, or my grandfather, because they all grew up they grew up in Jim Crow, where they didn't have that lever to express themselves, to at least change the narrative in you, even if you lose, brothers and sisters, even if you lose a vote. And I've said this before, if you have shared your intellectual capacity for what's going on, you've served notice. You've served notice. It's like playing sports in some regards. Playing sports in some regards. Like whenever I play sports like basketball, I'm not the biggest guy in the world. But whenever I play basketball, everybody said I'm gonna check him because they thought I was an easy mark. What I meant that a taller guy thought I got a shorter guy, I'm gonna dominate him. Bad news. I dog you out like your mom was on the court. I didn't care. What I wanted that person to know, everybody on the court, was this is the last time you're gonna think this way about me, and let me let you know why. Bam. And what happens in that space? What happens in that space? You establish a precedent for all the other people who are coming out of misinformation. Let me share this with sister. Look at all the candidates. Reinforce. Yeah, there you go. Years ago, I remember a good friend of mine, Mr. Dick Gregory, got a little heat. He got people upset because when Bill Clinton was running, black people that looked like me decided that Bill Clinton was now the black president. He was the black president. He played a saxophone. And I'm thinking, is this what we delve down into? That blackness is equated to being able to play a tenor saxophone in front of black folk? What am I saying, folks? Don't settle. Don't settle. If there's anything about voting, you should vote. And before you vote, say, don't settle. What I mean by this is there are active ways to put pressure on these politicians. There are active ways to put pressure on these politicians. I'm going to tell you why. Because politicians put pressure on us. All the ads that you're seeing are all triggers. When I say they're triggers, it means it's not about you making an educated decision. It's about getting a particular reaction from you that will lead to a particular action, a reaction to an action, a one to a many type of one action affects many. It's sort of like when you build an app, they have something called a one-to-many relationship. Well, the one can affect the many, but the many cannot affect the one. Dig that action. And what becomes even more important, people, is that our silence cannot be a part of our process this time. The silence can't happen. I'll give you an example. This year when you go to the polls, and I said this before in a show called Before We Go to the Polls, this is what you do. Get 200,000 posters and put the picture of the people who were lost due to COVID-19, put them on the poster and have them stationed outside of every polling station in the United States. And I guarantee that you'll get a different result because death has a particular type of responsibility and accountability that cannot be overlooked. Now people go, Preacher Moss, the president didn't kill all those people. His inaction did. And I'm here to tell you, if I was the president and I acted that way, I would have been the first one to tell you I dropped the ball. And whatever it is that comes after that, brothers and sisters, you have to deal with. See, the last election, we got lazy. We fell into this thing of, well, we're going to choose the lesser of two evils. Why do we settle for evil? Can you answer that question? Why are we settling for evil in a choice that we look at? If anything, old folks, King, Medgar Evers, Malcolm, Elijah Muhammad looked at evil and challenged it and said that evil has to change. That person with that evil has to change. We will change the environment and the behavior of that person. And they did it consistently and over a period of time. Why can't we do it now? Why do we have protests and nothing changes? Have you ever thought about that? Why do we have protests and nothing changes? Let me say, Sister Kathina, welcome to the show. I hope your daughter's doing well. I saw that information about her graduating basic training. So this time, brothers and sisters, I say it's a presidential debate, but I'm searching for signs of intelligence from us. Because I know damn sure we're not going to get it from the politicians. Because politicians are wind-up toys. They're wind-up toys. Wind-up toys for the special interests, wind-up toys for the base, wind-up toys for the corporatocracies that are going to benefit from them being president, wind-up toys from the defense system, the defense business is going to get all that money, wind-up toys for the people who build prisons for profit. Everybody's going to make money off of your decision except you. You'll be the first one to vote and the last one to benefit. So, not to get too far. Yeah, alhamdulillah. Not to get too far ahead of myself. I looked at some of the notes from my teacher, Mr. Dick Gregory. Now, Mr. Dick Gregory was an amazing comedian. He was a social comedian. Probably the last one of our time. While we're fawning over comedians, oh, I like Mike Epps, oh, Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, I love Dave, that's my brother. But he comes nowhere close to Mr. Dick Gregory. Who was my mentor? Mr. Dick Gregory is the reason why I'm on this show today. Because I have to make sure that we get information out. And when I say we, I mean everybody on this comment section should be having this conversation with the people around you. Good, bad, indifferent, you have to be able to share the information. Mr. Dick Gregory one time, based off a joke I made in a comedy club, as soon as I got outside, he basically tore my head off. He tore me a new one. And the joke was about political parties. I was saying there's too many political parties. I said you got the Democratic Party. I said you got the Republican Party. I said you got the Tea Party. I said for black people don't like themselves, there's a sweet tea party. Funny joke. He took me outside. He said, well, Mr. Funny Man, he goes, what have you done to develop a political action committee for your people? Well, silence. Why are we not developing political action committees for people who are like-minded like us? There's no real Muslim political action committee. Therefore, you won't have a Muslim agenda. The Women's Political Action Committee is fragmented. Inmates don't even have a political action committee because many of them can't vote. But even decide that if you were able to draw attention to your need and your issue, you'd be able to be in a position where you could change policy, or at least get people to begin thinking about changing policy. Much the same as Mr. Gregory said to me. He said, if you don't know, number one, that you have to apply pressure, and number two, where to apply pressure, he said, this process will never change. As much as I love America, the process hasn't changed. People in mass have not figured out exactly where to apply pressure. Well, if you really want to apply pressure, America, go to these corporations and say, if so-and-so gets elected, I'm no longer your client. I'm no longer your client. I'm talking about a certain type of responsibility that's been missing a very, very, very long time. And because there's so much noise out there, we tend to think that the noise is actually silence. It's not silence. It's noise. It's noise is unneeded, is uninvited, and we've gotten to a point where it just sounds normal. It's sort of like when you live in a city. I don't know if this ever happened to you. Let me give a shout out to my sister right here. It's sort of like you live in the city all your life and you hear buses and trains and subways and all of that and cars on the expressway, and you get more and more and more and more and more and more used to it. When you get to a place that's actually quiet, you can't sleep. I've heard it before. It's too quiet out here. Going down south, ain't no noise. And that's where we are today. It's been a reversal of those things. It's been a reversal. We think that our silence is noise and the noise is silence. And as a result, people are literally getting away with murder. Murder might be strong, but no, it's not strong. It's literally exactly what I said it was. If we are to put together some type of meaningful multicultural front, brothers and sisters, we now, at this point in time, headed into November, we have to stop with the foolishness. You have to stop with the silliness. I believe, number one, the whole idea of voting and being able to change, that is an ascription. That is something that comes from the eternal. That's something that comes from above. Voting, brothers and sisters, is the physical apparatus, the physical expression. Consciousness is what informs the voting. You guys heard me yesterday talking about creativity, right? Creativity. Frame what the voting means for you. Use that term I used yesterday, bricolage, which is the ability to walk into a situation, see something, see nothing, and frame value around it. What is your vote if it doesn't promote change? What is your vote if it doesn't cause pause? You see these volunteers, or you see these politicians now, when they talk about the voters, there's no pause in their voice for the voters. They literally don't believe that we count. Why do I say that? Because you only see them every 4 years. One of the biggest things that I want you to remember this is there was a period of time where groups of people could not vote. Now, this is not the gut punch, white man, white supremacy, but there was a time. And I'm saying this because those were the times. You can't equate those times to these times. You can only make the parallel, but you can't equate them. That's what it was. So women didn't vote. They didn't vote in the United States. They didn't vote in England. They didn't vote. African Americans were still trying to find their identity and their freedom, so they weren't available to vote. Native Americans didn't vote. But here's the thing. Though they couldn't vote, they still had the will. They still had the will and the willingness to seek change, to improve their conditions. Point in time, point in place. Guess what? When slaves run away, you know what they never did? Held a vote. When Native Americans had raids to fight the Custers and all those soldiers, they never had a vote. What they had was a call to action. So if I can do anything, please, brothers and sisters, frame this as a call to action for yourself. And what I mean is, don't make it about you. Knock on your neighbor's door. I always say, see how your neighbor's doing. And that conversation about voting will come out from your neighbor. I have friends that are Democrats. I have friends that are Republicans. And on both sides, whatever the issue is, sometimes we agree and sometimes we have to respectfully disagree. What cannot be respectfully disagreed upon is if you have the ability to vote, you must vote. It means nothing, brothers and sisters. See this thing? It means nothing to have, I want to say, a Biden or Trump when you find that you have the same problems. You can rattle them off. Healthcare, social justice, police brutality, the economy. These are not new things. It's just that we're dealing with them with different levels of intensity. My point and my issue is that we need to grow up. We cannot be like the politicians that we elect. Let me say that again. We can't be like the politicians we elect. We can't be babyish in our behavior. We can't be childish in our execution. We can't be selfish in our expression. And we can't be, at the most part, children when it's time to stand up. Because standing up requires the fact that, that's why they say stand up, because you got to look out at something. No, you realize when you stand up, it's to look around. Sitting down looking around is limited. Standing up gives you mobility. Vote for what gives you mobility in your thoughts and your hearts, and I think we'll be in a better place. I'm not saying who's going to win. I'm not saying who's going to lose. I'm not even saying how to vote. That's not my business. My business is I owe myself and I owe all of you who are listening, and you owe all the people who are not listening in your spaces a conversation about what? Voting, changing the narrative, and re-examining and restructuring justice. Restructure justice. Restructure equality. This country does not look like anything we saw in 2015. It does not. If you're going to ask me, I'd say, man, we're on the brink of all-out anarchy because the children have decided I'm going to be the ruler, I'm going to be the boss, but I'm still going to be a child. And for that, brothers and sisters, come election day, I need the adults in the room to stand up. Listen, I got to get to work because I got a paper to write, but you guys have been amazing. I hope you have I hope you have the rest of an incredible day. We'll be back tomorrow if it's God's will. And thank you so much. Appreciate you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's Preacher Moss, a shout out show. Stay blessed. Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your shout out show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next shout out show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from ThePresidential. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out ThePresidential.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.